it. Essentially, the aim of big society capital is to really take money from dormant accounts. This is, again, unclaimed assets. It's that bank account you had at Lloyd's when you were at university that you might have had a fiver in, and you haven't actually, you probably can't even find whether you still have it or not, and you can't be bothered. To be honest, there are lots of those around, and those dormant accounts that have not been touched for a long time are actually being channeled out to fund social enterprise work. The Merlin banks, which is the big banks, are also contributing to this, £200 million at below market return, because they will get beneficial reputational bounce from contributing toward this. And it comes into big society capital. And the idea that big society capital will actually have a strategic view of the social investment market. It will look at things like how you assess social impact, how you look at the kind of financial impacts it has, and it will channel it to organizations that already largely exist, infrastructure organizations like Charity Bank or all kinds of those sorts of organizations that already exist that then fund social enterprises. So there won't be any front bit of big society capital giving directly to social enterprises. It'll be going through other organizations like Future Builders or whatever, venture capital fund, all those sorts of organizations. So that's where the negotiations are coming in. And hopefully it won't be just debt, it won't be just loans, it will be other kinds of products. So things like underwriting, things like patient capital, helping people buy community land trusts, all kinds of things. We're hoping to really encourage a blossoming of different kinds of products in the social investment marketplace. Our principles are transparency, independence, so we're independent of government, we're independent of the banks. Self-sufficiency, now that is to me the toughest one, actually being self-sufficient, so we don't lose all the money. This is a hugely risky area. So self-sufficient is actually what we're trying to do, make good investments so the money comes back to support future activities going forward. And as I said before, we are a wholesaler, so we're not going directly to social enterprises, we're going much more to the intermediaries that structure the deals for social enterprises. There will be no grant support coming from big society capital. And I think that's quite interesting as a philanthropy. The philanthropist, this is not philanthropy. This is a very different kind of activity. In terms of our objectives, the idea is to develop the marketplace. I probably should read it. Can you read those? I don't know if you can see it. Is it all right? Give me a feel. Okay, I won't read it because otherwise it's a bit boring reading out things like that. But essentially, there's no mention of philanthropy in any way in here. There's no mention of the fact that the sector is almost a lot of the investment going into the social investment marketplace currently is philanthropic. The Esme Fairbairn Foundation is a huge player in this. There's no mention whatsoever of philanthropy. And I think we do play a pivotal role. I think it is time for the sector, social enterprise, to move on from philanthropy into something else, but I'm not sure that the sector is entirely comfortable with what that something else is. So I think a lot of there are two philanthropists, funders on the board of Big Society Capital, and we are participating fully, but we are certainly aware that for the short term, the money is needed to get these things off the ground from philanthropic sources. So the next stage is in the Big Society Capital, which I thought you might welcome hearing, which is essentially to fully establish the company. It still doesn't actually exist. It's been talked about for so long, we probably think we've been operating, but we don't. It doesn't exist at all. We've got to get permission from Europe to exist. This looks a little bit like government is supporting a private enterprise. And so we have to get approval for that kind of thing from Europe to allow that to happen. We also have to get regulatory support from the Financial Services Authority, so that is also on the cards. And so we're looking into next year at the very, very earliest. There is a fund which is actually operated by Peter Wanless's Lotet Big, which is the kind of precursor to the investments that Big Society Capital will be making, and it is currently operating now. So in terms of my final comments, I think social investment and philanthropy can coexist, and I think they do coexist very well. I think some of the issues, though, there are real opportunities for us, for instance, a relatively small funder, to double the amount of work we can do in pursuit of our mission, and that to us is really important. And we are looking for organizations that are aligned with our interests and our concerns and really want to invest in them as well as support them through grants. But there are real risks, and as I was saying, we've got skin in the game. We lose money, we lose £1 million off our endowment. It doesn't come, we can't get it back in that way. You can't just sort of say, oh, well, never mind. It's actually quite important to us. It reduces our grant-making ability. So there are real risks, and I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest. Occasionally, you hear a lot of puff about social investment without talking about the risks. So trustees are not being silly when they don't just flood in huge numbers. I think it's the real risks of losing money and actually not delivering for beneficiaries. And I suppose I'd wanted to end on the fact that our interest is really about delivering more and better outcomes for beneficiaries. This is the whole point of what we're doing and point of what you're doing, and getting funds into underfunded areas. This is absolutely vital for all of us. So thank you.